welcome to episode 3 of All Star Marketing Podcast. Today we are going to talk about one of those things that I know worries so many small businesses, and that is not having enough people buying from you. Do you ever say that to yourself? Are you often sitting there worried, thinking, I don't have enough people buying, I don't have enough sales, I don't have enough leads? And the fear that comes with that. If that's something that concerns you, you can change that. So right now we are going to go through the 5 ways of you building an engaged audience that will buy from you. 5 ways to build an engaged audience that will buy from you. Number 1, we're going to talk about consistency. Number 2, being in the right places. Number 3, not targeting is a massive issue. You've got to be targeting the right people at the right place at the right time. Number 4, your list building. If you don't have a list, you are narrowing your opportunity for sales. And number 5, building relationships. So that's 5 things that we're going to cover in today's episode. So let's kick off then. Number 1 is all about consistency. Now, it's very, very common, and I see it all the time. Businesses throw something out the door. Perhaps it's a sales email, perhaps it's a social media post. And crickets. That is something that happens when you don't have momentum. You cannot expect to put one thing out with your marketing and for it to do an amazing job and bring you leads and sales in. Now, the answer to that is making sure that you have got consistent marketing going out time and time again. Otherwise, you will be forgotten. Sporadic marketing is not the answer. By the time the next piece of marketing comes around, you end up with those customers forgetting who you were altogether. And that does you no favours. So your brand goes unrecognised rather than building up great brand awareness. So consistency is key. Now, I know you might be fearful and you're overthinking the content that you put out there, but trust me, done is better than not done at all. So good is good enough. Sometimes just get it out there. That's much better than not being seen at all. We don't want to be in this vicious feast or famine cycle where at one point we're putting marketing out there and getting results, and then the next time we're not putting anything out, and therefore what happens? The tumbleweed rolls on by and no customers come your way. Consistency is key. You don't have to put loads and loads of time into marketing. In fact, you can do a lot in just 2 to 3 hours a week. So it's about using your time wisely and making sure you show up all the time in the right places so that your customers get to know you, get to like you, and more importantly, get to trust you, because of course, who buys from somebody that they don't trust? Okay, so think about that. You need a simple structure to be consistent, whatever that means to you. If at the moment you're doing nothing with your marketing, then starting something regularly is the first step to take. It might be just to get 3 social media posts out. No, it's not going to set the world alight. No, it's not going to bring you in leads all the time. But what it will do is it will get the ball rolling. It will start the process. And once you get used to doing that, you can then add on more and more activity as you get used to it. We're not asking you to go from 0 to hero here. We're asking you to just simply take a couple of steps forward. Because as long as you're moving forward, you are making progress. So, number 2, not showing up in the right places. Now, it's very, very, again, common that we will do a blanket marketing approach where we just show up in random places and don't actually think about who our audience is and where they're going to be. So, you need to do your homework. Work out who your customers are, your star customers, the ones that are superior, the ones that are targeted, the ones that are results focused, and the ones that are acquirable. You have to show up in front of those right people. So work out where they are. Are they on TikTok? Are they on YouTube? Are they in their email? Are they in their office? Are they showing up at certain events that you need to be present at? Work out where they are, and then you need to go where they are. and be timely. You don't have to do everything. You just need to focus your efforts on getting to the people at the right time, in the right places. And open your doors to them. Let them know what you're all about. If you don't, you're basically inside a house and expecting people to kind of try and work out what you are and who you are. You've got to open the doors wide, fling open the windows and let them come in. You can't just expect them to crawl through a little crack in the wall like spiders do. You've got to just get in front of them and let them in and tell them what you do. So that's why we need to turn up in the right places. So you need those clever ways to show up and not be unseen. So start with simple strategies, just one or two, get them going, and then you can build on them over time. Number 3, we are talking here about targeting. So think about this. What happens in the winter if it snows? And it's just a small amount of snow and you get a smattering across the grass or across the car or across the roads. Not enough so you can go out and build a snowman. Not enough so you can go and have a snowball fight. Not enough to have a snow day and stay home from work. It's one of those things where it doesn't make a lot of difference. Soon the sun will come out, it will clear all of the snow away and you can go about your day. And the same is true of your marketing. If you try and target everybody, it is the equivalent of just a smattering of snow everywhere. It's meaningless, it's not doing its job, it's going to clear up and be forgotten about really, really quickly. We want to go nice and deep and meaningful to a niche of customers. So we want to stop going broad and wide and concentrate on going narrow and deep so that one customer gets to see you over and over and over and over again. Because if you do that, they get to know you, like you and trust you, as we just talked about. So don't try and cover too many people. You've got to stick to that niche and you will then resonate with them. You can talk about the things that they really care about and you will start to get the right action taken. Because selling to everyone is like selling to absolutely no one. It's just not meaningful enough for them. So are you trying to get out there to too many people? That's a question for you to ask yourself. Now, I'm not suggesting that as a business, you start to niche down on one customer and one customer only, because I appreciate that that's number one, difficult, and number two, you don't want to close off those opportunities to you, and it can feel like you're going to miss out. You have two options. You can niche as a business, of course you can. You can go really, really in on one particular audience. But instead of choosing to do that as a business, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, what you can do is niche in at marketing level. So whilst you might be talking broadly to a wide audience, you go all in on one segment and one segment only for a particular campaign. That way you can make sure that it's really targeted towards them. And you, by knowing things like their pain points, their wants, their needs, their desires, their objections, what they do on an average day, you can start using that information to really get in contact with them, really get into their heart and understand what they're all about and target them accordingly with your marketing messages. So that's why targeting is so important. Now, here's a really simple example of this. Let's say a beauty business decides that they are going to put some marketing materials out or some social media or sales emails, and they are focused, for example, on facials. Now, if they talk to everybody, they might have to say, for example, come and get your facial done. It will make you feel wonderful. It will make your skin nice and smooth. It will help with fine lines and wrinkles. So they can go really generic and start talking more generically about, their target customer base. However, if they start to market and say facials for the over 40s, they can target the skin complaints and the skin needs of a particular segment, the over 40s. So it might be the 40 to 50 bracket, for example. When, I know this, things are starting to happen, aging's starting to happen, and they can literally get in contact with all those emotions that you're feeling and then start to talk to you about the effects of facials on your skin. That's much more powerful and much more likely to get a response than it would be if you just broadly target everybody. Targeting is one of the reasons why not enough people will buy from you. So think about going for the fewer and making more sales than going for the masses and creating less leads. Okay. Next up, I want to talk to you about your list, your marketing list. Do you have a database that has all of your customers, your ideal customers, names and email addresses in? Do you have that right now? If you do not, I cannot stress enough to you how important this is for your business. Quite simply, a database is a pile of cash just waiting to be converted. It really is. I would not be without mine. And it might be that those people don't convert immediately. And I've had instances where somebody's been in my database for 3 or 4 years and then all of a sudden they buy something from me. But mark my words, if you have got a database full of the right people, eventually they'll buy from you. If they're right for you and your marketing is really talking to their needs and their pain points and they're in the market for what you sell, they will come to you. And the whole idea of having a marketing database is to be able to use email marketing and other marketing methods in order to keep in contact and to give them what they need. It's not there for you to constantly do sales pitches, quite the opposite. It's there for you to give value and show why you're such an important person in their life. So that's what it's all about. You need your data to be centrally held in some kind of CRM system, customer relationship management system, or an email marketing system. And then you can ensure that you're number one, GDPR compliant, but also carry out marketing campaigns and regular campaigns and regular emails that will ensure that you connect beautifully with your customer, answer their needs, and give them the opportunity to buy from you. So it's about building powerful relationships. And even if they don't buy from you for maybe 1 or 2 years, the fact is you are in their inbox, the place that they go every single day. And that is a really personal place to show up, way above and beyond social media. So when we're using social media, we really want to be thinking about bringing them off of social media and into our database. Because at the end of the day, social media and those platforms, they're land for rent. You don't own them. And at any point, those social media channels, those social media platforms could make a change that means you can't use it anymore, or you can't use it in the same way as you once did. So that's why it's really important to think about getting those people out of your social media channels and getting them into your database. So there's lots of strategies that you can use for that, but I want you to think about whether you're doing that right now. So getting your list together is really important, and your list will probably be easier to get together than you think. Because what about all of those people that perhaps you've quoted on before that didn't buy from you? What about all those inquiries that perhaps you got through email? What about all those networking events that you've been to? All of those pieces of data is the start of your database, and you can build it from there. So your database is closer than you think. So I want you to ask yourself the question, do I have one? What do I need to do to get one? And how do I continue to have that data focus to make sure I'm growing it consistently with the right people involved? If you don't have that database, you are limiting the amount of people that know about you and have the opportunity to buy from you. So once again, best kept secret. We don't want to be the best kept secret, so make that happen. And last but not least, it's all about relationships. Relationships build over time. They're not instant. So imagine, and this analogy is used quite a lot in marketing terms, it's a nice one that you can get to grips with really, really easy. Imagine you meet somebody on a romantic level and you go out on a date. Are you going to ask them to marry you straight away? No, unless you're crazy. They're likely to say no and you'll look a bit foolish. The truth of the matter is you have to get to know each other over a period of time. And in doing so, you can work out, what you like about them, what you don't like about them. And the relationship builds over time. And it might advance to going on a weekend away, meeting the family, going on a bigger holiday, moving in together until finally the question is popped and perhaps you get married. That's generally how a traditional relationship develops. And that's what you need to do with marketing. It's no different. You don't ask someone to marry you on the first date, so why ask somebody to buy from you the first time you see them as well? You have to court them over a period of time. So instead of going straight in for the sale, think about the next acceptable step for your customer. It might be that you've got a blog for them to read, in which case they can read that and get to know what you're about and get some value from you. But it also might be that you have perhaps a free guide that you can give them in return for them giving you their email address. Then we've got that email address to move on to email marketing, of course, so win-win. And what's the next acceptable step after that? It might be to have a one-to-one meeting with you, or a consultation, or an audit. It might be that you get them to attend a webinar or an event that you're at. And it's not until you build up that relationship that you earn the right to ask for the sale. You have to earn the right. And unless you give them value, why should they buy from you? So always be thinking about the next logical step methodology, warming them up. It's like a revometer in a car. You can't go from 0 to 70 miles an hour on a motorway without going through each of the stages in between. And you can't do that with your marketing either. So I want you to remember this, and this is probably going to be one of the most important things you hear today, and it is that it takes 7 to 15 interactions with your brand before someone is even willing to consider buying from you. 7 to 15! So unless you're going through that process of warming them and building the relationship, you cannot expect people to buy. It's proven, 7 to 15 interactions. So power relationships have to be built. So what are you going to do to build those relationships? Don't go in straight for the sale. So that is 5 areas we've just been through today. We have looked at consistency, not being in the right places, targeting the customer, making sure you've got a list, and building relationships. If you don't cover off those 5 points, then you will not have enough people buying from you. If your marketing's not quite working as you want it to at the moment, check in with those 5 points first of all. And perhaps rate yourself. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for each. How good am I at that? And if you're, say, a 3 or a 4, don't try and get straight to a 10. Take a couple of steps forward. You want to get to a 5 or 6 first of all. We're not going all in, but if you can make incremental changes, it's going to shake up your marketing and you will soon get fantastic results from it by taking steps forward. I'll see you next time.